Forget lions and tigers. Those predators are nothing compared to the monsters that once ruled our planet. Millions of years ago, Earth was a battlefield, a savage arena where survival meant crushing, tearing, and dominating in ways we can barely imagine today. Titans, the size of skyscrapers, thundered across vast plains. Oceans were stalked by predators longer than buses, and jungles hid serpents so massive they could squeeze the life out of crocodiles with ease. Welcome to Animal Ranking Hub, where we uncover the most powerful creatures nature has ever created. Today, we journey back in time to meet the prehistoric titans, beasts so fearsome and so unstoppable that even the great predators of today look like toys beside them. In this video, you'll discover the true power of these ancient monsters, how they lived, how they hunted, and how they ruled entire ecosystems as if they were kings of their own worlds. By the end, you'll see just how terrifyingly strong nature can be when survival is the only law. So if you think a lion is powerful or a great white shark is deadly, prepare to have your imagination shattered. This is the story of the Earth's original warlords, the titans of prehistory. And before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Animal Ranking Hub so you never miss another epic journey into the most powerful animals ever to walk, fly, or swim on our planet. Millions of years ago, Earth was nothing like the safe, familiar home we know today. It was a planet in chaos, untamed, raw, and violent. Volcanoes erupted without mercy, spewing fire and ash that blackened the skies. Earthquakes shattered the land, reshaping continents in a single day. Dense jungles covered vast stretches of the globe, their shadows hiding predators unlike anything modern eyes have ever seen. The oceans, deep and uncharted, were alive with monsters. Imagine waters where shadows the size of buses moved silently beneath the surface, ready to strike at anything that dared to swim. Imagine skies filled with reptilian wingspans wider than airplanes, casting shadows over terrified prey below. This was not a world of balance or harmony. This was a world of war. Every corner of Earth was a battlefield. Survival wasn't about being fast, smart, or cunning. It was about being powerful. The strongest jaws, the thickest armor, the deadliest ambush tactics. These were the weapons of survival. And unlike today, where lions, tigers, and sharks dominate relatively peaceful ecosystems, prehistoric Earth was an arms race without end. The predators grew bigger, the prey grew stronger. Every adaptation pushed nature toward greater extremes of size, power, and brutality. In this brutal arena, only the most powerful reigned supreme. From towering giants that shook the ground with every step, to predators so terrifying they could paralyze prey with a single glance, the ancient world was ruled not by mercy, but by raw force. This is where our story begins, on Earth's greatest battlefield, where titans clashed and legends were born. And now, we're about to meet them, face to face. Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Tyrant King. When you picture the ultimate predator, there is one name that dominates, Tyrannosaurus Rex. The Tyrant Lizard King wasn't just a dinosaur, it was a force of nature, a living embodiment of power and fear. At nearly 40 feet long and weighing more than 9 tons, T-Rex towered over its prey. But it wasn't size alone that made it terrifying. It was its unmatched bite. Scientists estimate its bite force at over 12,800 pounds per square inch, the strongest of any land animal in history. Imagine jaws powerful enough to crush solid bone as if it were dry twigs. Its teeth were equally horrifying. Each tooth was as long as a banana, serrated like a steak knife, and designed not just to tear flesh, but to pulverize bone. Unlike today's predators, which often kill with precision, T-Rex was brutal. It tore, shattered, and consumed every part of its prey. But brute force wasn't its only weapon. Fossil evidence reveals an extraordinary sense of smell, one of the sharpest of any dinosaur. This allowed T-Rex to track prey across miles, hunting both the living and scavenging the dead. Earth's prehistoric battlefield, there was no hiding from the Tyrant King. For millions of years, T-Rex ruled North America with absolute dominance. Other predators may have existed, but in the presence of this giant, they were nothing more than shadows. The Tyrant King didn't just hunt, he reigned. Spinosaurus, the river monster. If Tyrannosaurus Rex was the king of the land, then Spinosaurus was the nightmare of the rivers. At an astonishing 60 feet long, it was even larger than T-Rex, making it the biggest known carnivorous dinosaur to ever walk the earth. Its long, crocodile-like snout was armed with conical teeth, perfect for gripping slippery prey. Unlike the bone-crushing jaws of T-Rex, Spinosaurus's bite was designed for fish. But don't be deceived. This predator wasn't limited to the water. Fossil evidence suggests that Spinosaurus was semi-aquatic, spending much of its life swimming through rivers and hunting in wetlands. With powerful limbs and a tail adapted for propulsion, it could chase prey both in water and on land. And then there was its sail, a towering ridge of spines rising from its back, each nearly 7 feet tall. The purpose of this massive structure is still debated. It may have helped regulate body temperature, attract mates, or intimidate rivals. But one thing is clear. When Spinosaurus emerged from the water, its silhouette alone would have struck fear into anything in sight. On the prehistoric battlefield, Spinosaurus was an amphibious tank, a predator with no borders. It ruled the rivers, but its power didn't stop at the shoreline. For creatures living in its domain, nowhere was safe. Not the forest, not the river, not even the open floodplains. Where the Tyrant King ruled the land, the river monster ruled the waters. Mosasaurus, Lord of the Oceans. While the land shook under the footsteps of giants, the oceans had their own ruler, Mosasaurus, the undisputed lord of the seas during the late Cretaceous. Growing up to 50 feet long, this marine reptile was a predator so powerful that even the largest sharks of its era avoided direct confrontation. Picture a creature with the body of a streamlined crocodile, the flippers of a whale, and the ferocity of a shark. That was Mosasaurus. With jaws capable of opening incredibly wide, thanks to a double-hinged skull, it could swallow prey whole, whether fish, turtles, or even other marine reptiles. Its conical teeth acted like spears, gripping slippery victims and ensuring nothing escaped once caught. But what truly made Mosasaurus terrifying was its speed. Unlike many modern reptiles, it had a massive tail fin that propelled it forward with explosive bursts of power. This allowed it to ambush prey with devastating efficiency. The oceans were its kingdom, and Mosasaurus patrolled them with absolute authority. To grasp its dominance, imagine swimming in prehistoric seas and seeing the sunlight vanish as a shadow larger than a bus passed overhead. That was Mosasaurus, an ocean overlord, striking terror into every corner of its watery battlefield. In a world where survival belonged to the strongest, Mosasaurus wasn't just a predator. It was the embodiment of oceanic supremacy, Megalodon, the apex shark. After the reign of Mosasaurus ended, the oceans crowned a new overlord, Megalodon, the largest shark to ever exist. Stretching up to 60 feet in length and weighing as much as 60 tons, this apex predator was a living nightmare patrolling the seas for nearly 20 million years. Its jaws were unmatched in power. With a bite force estimated at over 40,000 pounds per square inch, Megalodon could crush whale bones as if they were driftwood. Each tooth, as large as a human hand, was a razor-edged blade designed for slicing through flesh, muscle, and bone alike. Megalodon's diet was as colossal as its size. Fossil evidence shows it preyed on early whales, dolphins, and seals. Its hunting technique was ruthless. Attacking from below, it often ripped off a whale's fins to immobilize it before delivering a fatal bite. In the Miocene seas, no creature, no matter how large, was safe. For perspective, the largest living shark today, the great white, maxes out at around 20 feet. Compared to Megalodon, it's a child playing in the shallows. In the prehistoric battlefield of the oceans, Megalodon wasn't just an apex predator. It was the apex of apex predators, a killing machine that ruled with absolute dominance. For millions of years, the seas were his kingdom, and no challenger ever came close. Titanoboa, the giant serpent. On land, not all monsters had claws or fangs. Some hunted with silence, patience, and crushing force. Enter Titanoboa, the largest snake ever discovered, a serpent that slithered through the swamps of prehistoric South America more than 60 million years ago. Stretching over 40 feet long and weighing more than a ton, Titanoboa was longer than a school bus and as heavy as a small car. Unlike venomous snakes of today, Titanoboa relied on raw strength. It struck swiftly, coiling around its prey and squeezing with such force that bones snapped and lungs collapsed. A single constriction meant certain death. What did it eat? Giant turtles, crocodiles, even other massive reptiles. Nothing in its swampy domain was safe. After suffocating its victim, Titanoboa swallowed it whole, its enormous body expanding to take in prey larger than most modern snakes could ever attempt. The warm climate of its time allowed reptiles to grow to monstrous sizes, and Titanoboa was the ultimate proof. It was not a creature you would see coming. Hidden in the murky waters, waiting, watching, then striking with unstoppable power. In its world, Titanoboa was not just a snake. It was a living nightmare. Argentinosaurus, the towering titan. Not every titan of the prehistoric battlefield was a predator. Some ruled by size alone. Among them, Argentinosaurus stood as a true colossus, the largest land animal ever known to walk the earth. This giant stretched over 100 feet long and weighed up to 100 tons. To put that into perspective, Argentinosaurus was heavier than a modern Boeing 737 airplane. Every step it took shook the ground like thunder, and entire forests bent to its appetite. A single day of feeding could strip acres of vegetation, reshaping the landscape wherever it roamed. Despite being a herbivore, Argentinosaurus was untouchable. Even the fiercest predators, like Giganotosaurus, would have thought twice before challenging such a mountain of flesh and muscle. Hunting one would have required an entire pack, and even then, the risk was enormous. It didn't need claws, venom, or sharp teeth. Its size was its weapon, its defense, and its crown. In the hierarchy of prehistoric Earth, Argentinosaurus was less a target and more a moving fortress. If Tyrannosaurus was a king and Spinosaurus a monster, then Argentinosaurus was the titan of titans. A reminder that sometimes power isn't about killing, but about being simply too big to be challenged. Liopleurodon, the speed demon. While giants like Mosasaurus and Megalodon ruled with size, another predator relied on something deadlier: speed. Meet Liopleurodon, the swift assassin of the Jurassic Seas. At up to 30 feet long, Liopleurodon wasn't the largest marine reptile, but it was one of the most efficient hunters ever to exist. With 4 massive flippers powered by muscle and bone, it could launch itself through the water like a torpedo. Its speed allowed it to ambush prey before they even realized they were being hunted. Its jaws stretched over 10 feet, lined with teeth shaped like blades. When Liopleurodon struck, it didn't just bite, it clamped down with crushing force and refused to let go. Fish, squid, and even other marine reptiles all fell victim to this ruthless predator. Unlike the brute power of Mosasaurus or the overwhelming size of Megalodon, Liopleurodon embodied precision. It didn't need to be the biggest. It only needed to be faster, smarter, and more efficient. In the silent depths of the Jurassic Seas, that made it unstoppable. If the ocean was a battlefield, Liopleurodon was the dagger in the dark, swift, silent, and merciless. One strike, and it was over. Comparing to modern animals, it's easy to marvel at these prehistoric titans, but to truly understand their power, let's compare them with the animals alive today. Start with Tyrannosaurus rex. Its bite force, measured at nearly 12,800 pounds per square inch, dwarfs the strongest modern biter, the saltwater crocodile, which maxes out around 3,700 psi. The difference is staggering. What a crocodile could crush with effort, T-Rex could obliterate effortlessly. Now consider Spinosaurus. Modern crocodiles are apex predators in rivers, growing up to 20 feet long. Spinosaurus was nearly 3 times that size, with jaws and claws powerful enough to dominate on both land and water. If today's Nile crocodile is a king, Spinosaurus was an emperor. And then there's Megalodon. Today's great white sharks inspire fear at 20 feet in length. Megalodon stretched to 60 feet with a bite nearly 10 times stronger. While a great white can kill a seal in one bite, Megalodon could shatter the ribs of a whale. Titanoboa compared to today's anaconda? No contest. At over 40 feet long, Titanoboa made the 20-foot green anaconda look like a garden snake. Its coils could crush prey that no modern snake could even attempt to swallow. Finally, Argentinosaurus. Modern giants like elephants and blue whales still inspire awe. But on land, nothing alive today comes close to its sheer size. Standing beneath an Argentinosaurus would be like standing next to a living skyscraper. These comparisons reveal a simple truth. The prehistoric world wasn't just different, it was extreme. The animals of today may be fierce, but compared to the monsters of the past, they are survivors of a gentler age. The fall of the Titans. Every empire eventually collapses, and the reign of the prehistoric Titans was no exception. For millions of years, these giants dominated Earth's land, seas, and skies. But nature had its own plans. Around 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid slammed into the Yucatan Peninsula. The impact unleashed unimaginable destruction. Wildfires raged across continents, tsunamis swallowed coastlines, and a cloud of dust and ash blocked sunlight for months. Plants withered, food chains collapsed, and the mighty dinosaurs, including the great Tyrannosaurus and Spinosaurus, fell into extinction. But not all titans vanished in a single instant. Others, like Megalodon, thrived long after the dinosaurs, but eventually succumbed to a changing world. As ice ages cooled the oceans and new predators emerged, Megalodon lost its grip on the seas. Titanoboa, too, was a victim of climate, unable to survive once the swamps of its warm world cooled. In the end, it wasn't just predators that disappeared. Giants like Argentinosaurus fell as well, victims of an environment too hostile to sustain such massive creatures. What remains today are fossils, fragments of bone, teeth, and skulls that whisper of a time when Earth was ruled by monsters. Their extinction was the end of one age and the beginning of ours. Earth was once a battlefield unlike anything we can imagine today. It was not ruled by humans, lions, or even sharks. It was dominated by titans. From the bone-crushing bite of Tyrannosaurus rex to the river-stalking terror of Spinosaurus, from the ocean-shaking jaws of Mosasaurus and Megalodon to the silent coils of Titanoboa and the sheer immensity of Argentinosaurus, these creatures were the ultimate expressions of raw natural power. Yet even the strongest could not withstand time itself. Asteroids, climate shifts, and evolution swept them away, leaving behind only fossils as echoes of their glory. Their disappearance reminds us of two truths: that no dominance lasts forever, and that survival is as much about adaptation as it is about strength. But their stories continue to captivate us because they reveal just how extraordinary life on Earth can be. These titans were not myths. They were real, living monsters that shaped the very landscapes they ruled. And in studying them, we come face to face with the awesome, terrifying, and fragile balance of nature. So what do you think? If these monsters were still alive today, could humanity survive in their world? Or would we be nothing more than prey? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you loved this journey into Earth's prehistoric battlefield, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Animal Ranking Hub, because the story of animals, past and present, is far from over. The next great battle of nature is just one video away.